Hey, so we have an interesting guest coming up on the show shortly. We're going to look at taste buds. So around Christmas time, a lot of us, no doubt, indulging in a lot of different foods. Certainly a lot of chocolate seems to be on the menu at the moment. Everywhere you go, people handing out chocolates and all sorts of stuff, really. But let's get the rundown with chef, food writer, and author Thom Eagle will give us an insight into taste buds and younger Brits. What are they opting for these days? So, Tom, welcome to the show. Great to have you on board. What's the rundown, Tom? What's young people looking to eat these days?
Well, increasingly we're seeing, I think, an interest in bolder flavours, different flavours. I mean, research by the pickle brand Kuna shows that a third of young people, they're looking at different flavours to learn about different cultures, food from other cultures, which is interesting. But also these different flavour combinations, different contrasting flavours, of which pickles and ferments are a huge part.
That sounds interesting, Tom. I mean, when you sort of say ferment, just for our listeners, what falls into the category of ferment foods?
So things like kimchi, sauerkraut, sour gherkins, any kind of naturally fermented pickles like that.
Yeah, I have to admit, I have sort of added to the diet, sauerkraut and kimchi, on the basis that sort of I'm no expert in nutrition, but I understand it's meant to be sort of good for you type thing. So I've tried to bring it in, and it has like an acquired taste. I like it. I suppose some people might be indifferent to it. I don't know, but it's mixing and matching. I mean, what are some of the sort of combinations that people are enjoying?
Well, one of the most popular ones seems to be fried foods with pickles, particularly like fried chicken and pickled gherkins. But anything really rich or fatty or salty or fried, pickles kind of really help to cut through that, provide a contrast to it.
Absolutely, and in terms of sort of any specific, our listeners who are sort of listening in thinking, okay, I wouldn't mind giving something else a try as well, and might be interested. Is there anything specific maybe you could sort of recommend, Tom? Any sort of insights?
Well, you can really kind of add them to anything you might regularly anyway. So say it's like a cheese sandwich, a toasted cheese sandwich, just put some pickles in there. You can add the brine from pickles, the vinegar from pickles into salad dressings. But really, I think Christmas in some ways is the perfect time to get pickles into your diet because there's so much kind of cheese board and snacking involved, and the leftovers sandwich, anything like that where you're really kind of picking at bits and pieces. A pickle is the perfect thing to get in there.
Yeah, and sort of in terms of the sort of change in people sort of willing to have a go and expand their sort of taste buds. Do you think that's sort of down to maybe people sort of traveling maybe more now, maybe sort of social media and maybe a combination of all those things where you sort of, I think a lot of us have sort of been traveled and maybe tasted somewhere in the world that we've liked and sort of decided, what, I'll see if I can find it over here type thing?
Absolutely. I think there is an openness to foods from a variety of different cultures. And as you say, that's made a lot easier by social media because we simply have access to a lot more everyday experience from different people than we used to. And that's really combining, I think, with the interest in health and the gut health benefits to kind of create this perfect storm of an interest in these different ingredients and flavours.
Absolutely. And it's also accessibility too, I think, Tom. Like, back in the day, it kind of shows my age type thing, but before, it was harder. You might travel somewhere and eat something that you liked, and to access it was a lot more difficult. I mean, these days it's kind of like, you pretty much can have anything you want, to be fair. You can order it, stores as well tend to have, all different types of foods these days as well. It's a lot easier, I think, now than it is before to get certain types of foods too.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, as you say, you can order anything online, but even you can pop into your local supermarket and they might have a Polish section that's full of different pickles, or an East Asian section that's full of different ferments and miso and kimchi and things like that. So it's just a lot easier to get hold of and to experiment with these things.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that about the supermarkets as well. Sometimes you got like some supermarkets that have specific themes with different sort of countries as well, where they got like a week where they'll sort of sell different foods from different countries type thing, and yeah, it's sort of, it's great to sort of try and different things as well. I think that, I suppose maybe people are a bit more open-minded too to have a go at something else too, Tom. I mean, I can think of like, I suppose in years gone by, people are reluctant to sort of try something different, but there seems to be more of an openness now to, I'll try that and see how it goes.
I think so, yeah. I mean, I think some of it is kind of almost stunt-driven, this kind of willingness to try things for social media. But it is, as you say, it's just a general openness to different things, and a willingness to try flavours you maybe haven't had before, or you haven't had in those combinations before.
Yeah, I suppose with your experience too, Tom, did the research sort of throw up any surprises for you in terms of like what was popular, or did you obviously your own experience, you kind of we're quite familiar with what people enjoy type thing. But was there any sort of eye-openers for you?
Well, I've definitely seen from my own experience just a growing interest in ferments and in kind of sourer flavours particularly. But the research pointed up not just that, but just a sort of general interest in these very kind of what we might think of as extreme contrasts of flavours, like vanilla ice cream and French fries, or like bananas and bacon, or these kind of opposite flavours, like very salty with very sweet, or very sour with very bitter, which I thought was interesting.
No, absolutely, yeah. There's lots of contrast there. I mean, with some of these foods too, I suppose you can have on their own. I mean, with sort of sauerkraut, sometimes I'll sort of have a little bit just on its own, without sort of mixing it. Do you get sort of people sort of doing that too as well, Tom? Just sort of like having it on its own as well, like kimchi on its own?
I think so, yeah. I mean, there's always an element of people just eating stuff straight out the fridge, which
yeah.
Most of my pickles. When I do classes, people always ask me, "Oh, what can we do with these pickles and ferments we've made?" And that is my first answer: just kind of just eat it.
Yeah, and I suppose it's one of them where sometimes I have to admit, like I do try and get the balance between sort of enjoying the food, but also trying to eat food that I might have heard somewhere by generally reputable sources that it's meant to be good for you type thing. But I think there is a sort of case in that as well. I think in terms of sort of making sure sometimes if you are going to eat something, it's great to have something nice, if that makes any sense. I mean, like
Yeah, exactly. If you're going to have a crunchy little snack, it's maybe better that it's a gherkin than a bag of crisps or something.
No, definitely. And just in terms of anyone listening in, Tom, I want to read more about the research of your work. Is there anywhere they can go to sort of learn more? They might want to read a little bit more about the research or maybe sort of your work as well too.
Well, you can read about the research on Kuna's website, kuna-international.com, or on their Instagram. That's all on there. And then you can read about my own work. My latest book, the philosophy of pickles, kind of goes into the history of it, and some techniques, and then bits about the sort of recent resurgence of interest in it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll check that out, Tom. Thanks for your time. It's been great talking to you, and thanks again.
Well, thanks very much for having me.
Thank you.